Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. We've got a lot to discuss, but first of all, we're going to be moving on to a very important segment. Right now, we know that in Pakistan, especially when we talk about the phenomena of sports, the biggest problem that we have, the biggest concern is that the ratio for injuries is increasing with each passing day as well. Now, a lot of people have claimed that it is due to the wrong forms of training. Everybody does not understand that each and every body is different and they need to probably train for that as well. And for different discipline of sports, there need to be separate training manuals as well. They already exist, but unfortunately in Pakistan, we tend to lack that knowledge and research and development when we talk about this concept. And then of course, I think the other concern that we have as well is that there are misconceptions that are leading people to probably follow a model which is not suitable to our part of life. When you talk about the diet that they're following, when you talk about the training routine, to have a healthy body is important, but you also need a healthy mind with that as well. So we'll talk about that in detail as well. What's the right way forward and all there is to know about, you can talk about strength training, you can talk about physical fitness, you can talk about the way forward, and especially I think right now, in Pakistan, what we have seen is that anyone who's been injured has gone into a rehab process. But unfortunately, once they've come out of rehab, they've not been that same person. So we've got to talk about how rehab is probably not the proper model that needs to be implemented. And we're also fast-tracking rehab processes as well. So I think we'll talk about that in detail as well. We've got a special guest. I'll introduce you to her in just a bit. Then, of course, we move on to some international cricket that is happening. Of course, we talk about Test cricket. First of all, Australia up against New Zealand. It's been a fantastic century from Green, who has really led the charge, and I was listening to one of his interviews after that. He called it an innings that was full of determination. He said that he was really focused, the confidence was there as well. And particularly when he highlighted that concept about focus as well, he did mention that he was trying to focus on each and every delivery because he knew that, in a flash of a second, he probably could lose his wicket. So I think that's an interesting argument that we need to talk about. So their dominance continues because Australia are 279 for 9. Matt Henry, of course, picked up 4 wickets for New Zealand. He's always been there as a prime bowler for New Zealand in Test cricket and, of course, won internationals as well. We'll talk about that in detail. Then, of course, we move on to the one-off test between Afghanistan and Ireland. Afghanistan team has scored 155 runs in their first inning. Adair has picked up 5 wickets and put Ireland on top. Ireland were bowled out for 263 runs in their first innings. They now lead by 108 runs. Then we move on to the 43rd National Kabaddi Championship, where Khyber Pakhtunkhwa have gotten a walkover against Railways and Punjab against Sindh. Wabda has beaten Pakistan Ordnance Factory by 34-16, and the Higher Education Commission has won against Islamabad. Their scoreline was 31-11. And then, of course, in the final part of the show, we talk about football in detail, the Saudi Pro League, and of course, inappropriate gestures towards spectators. Al Nassr's captain Ronaldo has been suspended for 1 match and fined 10,000 Saudi riyals for his behavior. Concerning. Player of a stature of Cristiano Ronaldo, you don't see him being upset towards the fans like that. Certainly there was another part to the story, so we'll discuss that as well. But like I said, firstly, we're focusing on the concept of strength training, the concept of physical fitness, rehab processes, and everything we can think of. And to discuss it further, we've been joined by physical strength trainer Mohsina Zafar Mahmood Khan. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much for joining us. Now, I want to explore this concept first of all, where you talk about strength training. How important is it to understand that strength training particularly translates to strength training and not everything that people probably have a misconception of?
In these days, people are really not understanding what is actual strength training, because strength training and fitness training are different things, which which are totally refers to the physical activities demanding, like weightlifting or something like that. But in strength training, we have to we have to remember one thing, that in strength training we have to do weightlifting first, because strength means endurance, and I don't think so like in these days people have endurance in their life, right? So yes, in the people are really I don't know what to say right now, but yes, I always tell people to maintain yourself, maintain your bodies, and do strength trainings. But strength training is difficult. But as a sports person, if I am saying that, so being an athlete, agar as I told you, that being an athlete, strength training is important.
Well, we can take a case study, Mohsina, can we? Because for any
sure.
young individual who wants to join the gym or be physically fit or play any sports, right now the biggest misconception in Pakistan is that they will hit the gym and like you said, that the first part is to build up endurance.
Exactly.
But they would immediately start lifting heavy weights, and in short, what will happen is that their body will break down in probably a couple of weeks.
Strength training is basically like you said, ke people are joining the gym and they suddenly start weightlifting. No. Firstly, if a person is going to the gym and he want to start a strength training and all, firstly he have to choose his physical trainer, strength trainer who guide him the best training according to the body, according to his body, okay? Because there are so many people I saw, they have healthy bodies and fatty bodies, but they don't know how to do with that. Like it doesn't mean you have a healthy body or the chubby body, you have to lift a weight first. No. Strength training is basically called as I told you, weightlifting, but weightlifting is not for everybody.
But you mentioned a very important point is to find personal help in terms of a trainer.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, what happens in Pakistan that people just to save some sums of money think that this is only a money-oriented business and they don't need a trainer. What they're doing is watching videos on social media platforms, and immediately they try to implement that, which should not be the case. You always need somebody to guide you professionally.
It is a money demanding thing, obviously, and people don't want to give that much money in these days. People just want a free kind of things.
Advice.
Yeah, free kind of advice. So I always advise them, just make yourself clear. If you really want to go to the gym and you really want instructions, then firstly, as I told you, choose a better person who guides you well. Then make your lifestyle healthy, eat healthy food, make your body, make yourself in that way, make your body fit, then do other things, and then go to the gym and exercises and all that. Then definitely you will feel better, you will make yourself better, you'll make your body, you'll make your health better in a different way.
Well, the lifestyle needs to change, like you mentioned. And the most important factor then in our part of the world, in Pakistan, because we love food.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that is the hardest part probably to follow a clean diet. And unfortunately, what happens, people are very aggressive. Either they completely are starving or they're eating too much, which is wrong as well. So, how important is it to create that balance in between?
It is important to create the balance because sometimes, but for the athletes, there is more important thing that he have to maintain his health, and he has to maintain the balance between his food and between his activities and all that. Because everyone knows that athletes want more diet instead of normal persons, right?
They need more protein.
Yeah, more protein, carbs, and everything. Yeah. So, but it doesn't mean if a person's body needs more carbs, but it doesn't mean that person will eat more carbohydrates and all that. No way. He have to be balanced. Like he should balance.
But it's also important to talk to a nutritionist as well.
Exactly.
Because obviously my body is different, yours is different. Somebody else will have a different body that reacts to different kinds of foods.
Absolutely right. But as you said that everybody needs that. For me, I am always like that kind of a person who maintain the self in a specific way. If I am looking slim and smart kind of a person, sometimes it doesn't mean I always feel weak and all. No. People have different kind of bodies, okay? And some people have fatty bodies or chubby bodies and all that. Some people have skinny bodies, slim bodies like me.
It's different, yes.
Everybody have different bodies and everybody needs different types of energy. If somebody seems chubby and if somebody is healthier, it doesn't mean the person is healthy from inside. It doesn't mean that. And if somebody seems like a very normal and a slim kind of a person, it doesn't mean that the person is weak or all. It's all about the internal
structure.
Yes. It's all about the internal structure and internal strongness and all that. So we have to maintain ourselves in a very good way. Like we have to eat healthy food and do exercises daily, but with the help of a specific
Yes,
person.
so I think the message is clear from Mohsana that you need to find professional help. Don't just go into the jungle haywire. Always have a guide with you as well. Talk to a nutritionist. I understand that you know a lot of things from the advent of social media, but then again, it's important that we find professional help and let the professionals do it. Unfortunately, there's another problem right now that everybody is trying to step in as a trainer. That shouldn't be the case. There are proper manuals, there are proper case studies. I know an individual myself who is probably going for a PhD in terms of physical training as well. There are education-based manuals that you need to follow. Mohsana, right now when you're involved with the younger lot or with various people working on strength training, what's the biggest challenge that we encounter? For me, I think right now what I am disappointed about is that the ratio of injuries is increasing with each passing day. I see very young bodies in their early 20s breaking down.
And these days, people are coming to me with the knee injuries specifically, because in these days, knee injuries are very common, and in athletes, knee injuries are very common. Like if I am telling you about that, so people always come to me with the knee injury, and I always wonder why they are coming to me with the knee injury, because obviously they're working hard. People have something to do with the you know what I mean?
There is something specific.
Yeah, there is something specific, and what is that? I always wonder. So if an athlete, somebody is coming to me with the knee injury, I always ask about the history first. So I have got a patient in few days back. He came to me with the knee injury, and I didn't know about his history and all that. He came to me, he said, I'm feeling so much pain in my knee, so please treat me the way you
treat others.
Yeah. So I was like, firstly I was like, what are you talking about? Obviously I will treat you the way I treat others, but exactly tell me your history. Then he told me I had an injury, and in the past 4-6 years ago, and it was like I was a football player. So in football players, yes, their injuries are common. Specifically, the knees injuries are common. ACL and PCL. ACL means anterior cruciate ligament, and the PCL is posterior cruciate ligament. So these injuries are very common in athletes, specifically in footballers and runners too, because it's all about the
load that is going on the knees.
Yeah, exactly, on the knees. So the injuries, if we are like if we can see the injuries in nowadays. So specifically knees injuries.
But back as well. I think specifically what we felt is that knees and the back are giving the most
back
problems.
Is not, I don't think so back is specifically are common. No, knees injury is very common, very common.
So what's the rehab process that then goes into the entire individual's rehab once you discover that okay, this is the type of knee injury they have? What's the rehab process?
Firstly, we definitely will give a session, but around 7 days. It will be a session of 7 days. Yeah, 7 days a week. So in first 3 days, we have to manage the pain, and on other days we have to focus the exercises, the RO and range of motions, and then strength training, as I told you. So pain, obviously we have to reduce their pain first. Definitely we will go to the other step, which is like range of motions, movement according to the different angles, 90 degree, 180, 120, and then strength training. If a person have that much endurance in the body, then we have to start strength training after that. Yeah.
So and it's very important to follow these SOPs. Unfortunately, people also try to rush the process. What happens is people will show up for rehab, and in the 2-3 days that they find a difference, then they don't show up at all. They think that they're perfectly fine.
And people always show their consistency, right? I always say that please be consistent, please be consistent. If you don't want to come to me, no, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay, but go to someone else. At least you have to be consistent. That's why the person, your doctor, will recognize how you do or how you are. If you are feeling better, then don't go. If you are not, then please be consistent at least for 7 days. That's why your doctor will be feel better. Okay, my patient is now fine, so I don't have to give him that much.
Treat your doctor as your friend, not as your enemy. First of all, I think that is very, very important.
People are always treat a doctor as your enemy. Some people, because I always feel like I am a person who treat patient very calmly, who treat
Not a
patient
strict
very,
doctor,
always, and people give me prayers as well,
feedback, yes.
good feedback, and people give me always good reviews, alhamdulillah, and I'm very, you can say that I feel honored always. But some people come to me like, please do something hurriedly and do something this and that, and
I need a shortcut to my injury.
yes, so yeah, so I always like, if you want if you want a perfect solution, if you want a a quick relief of pain, be patient. I will definitely treat you in a good way. Firstly, I will reduce your pain, then I will guide you different things, but you have to be patient and be consistent.
Certainly. I think that's the way forward as well, that you need to be a patient who has patience. So I think that is very, very important. But I think at the same time, it's also important to recognize your bodies and your injuries as well. What also, there is another concept that is also being followed, that if you have an injury, you don't worry about it, the pain goes away and you think you're fine. And after a couple of years, or especially in winters, once that aggravates, then you're worried about that. So it's very important to know your medical history. But Mohsana, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
it was
you
indeed
for having
very
me on your
informative,
show.
and I'm sure that a lot of people now realize. So as Mohsana has already highlighted, that she's not a strict doctor. So if you've got a problem, particularly with your knee or strength training, you can always find a good doctor in Mohsana, and you'll probably see the results happening as well. Thank you very much for joining us. On that note, we'll take a very short break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back once again. Like I said, that I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that are particular now, but we focus on cricket, and the boys are back. The boys are always there, and whenever you want to have a candid discussion full of real analysis, real stats and figures, and at the same time real sarcasm, then the only person you can get your hands on is our sports expert joining us, Mr. Rizwan Haider. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed.
Great to have you on the show. And we've also been joined by cricket commentator, international broadcaster, presenter, our sports expert, and the lifeline of our program, Mr. K. Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum assalam, Ahmed. I'm doing perfect. How about yourself?
I'm very well, sir. Great to have you as well. Now, of course, we start off with the test match between Australia and New Zealand, and it has been a fantastic century from Green. And like I said, that when I was listening to what he had to say, he said that he was very focused on each delivery, because he said that in the past couple of innings that he's played, he lacked that focus, and that's where he threw his wicket away. So, although Australia were in a comfortable position, but I think Matt Henry bowled exceptionally well, picking up 4 wickets. So, Rizwan, first of all, Australia managed to have every player in form right now across formats, but it was great to see Green getting amongst the runs as well.
Well, it was great seeing Green coming at number 4. I mean, I was surprised he was coming ahead of Head. But for me, I think if you look at Australia and England, the two best teams to watch are Australia versus England, test match either in England or Australia. And the other one, the rivalry, Australia and New Zealand. Because comparatively, Australia is a very, very strong team. It's been one of the top teams in the world for the last so many years. And New Zealand, because of its small player bank, has always been a second best sort of a team. But to put Australia at 9 wickets down and 279, that was really, really competitive. Not just Matt Henry getting 4 wickets, but Rook, the new bowler, who got 9 wickets in his debut and his second test match. But as a team, they bowled really, really well. Never let Australia out of sight, never let Australia get going. Marsh had a blistering start. The two openers got 30 each, but New Zealand just kept coming back and kept them in control, and they're always they're still in the game.
I think improvisation was superb from New Zealand's perspective as well. If you look at the pitch map of Matt Henry, he was exceptional, and I think that's what you want from a test bowler, that he's consistently hitting that one channel and being patient enough to get results, and that you got to wait for the batter to make a mistake, and that's what you do. But K. Asif, first of all, like Rizwan mentioned, that I think only Australians can pull off a mentality like this, that you shuffle the order, you bring a person up, and immediately he produces results for you, like Cameron Green has done.
Well, that's right. And if you see the difference which Matt Henry actually created, the first thing is, for me, that was there wasn't any sort of express speed, and that was only the line and length. And the good thing is that we was pitching up and trying to bowl closer to the batter, and that's it. If you see that the Steven Smith, the question you've been asked to me, that Steven Smith being an opening batter. He was bit shattered just because of swing, the movement, because the speed was around 126 to 135, 36. But as you mentioned, if you see the graph of Matt Henry, the way he was pitching right into the good length area and then, swinging away from the batter. And Steven Smith, early on, it was shocking for me that Steven Smith playing like this, that his body is away from the bat. And there's a difference between his body and bat. So what does it mean that he was struggling early on and he was creating a map for basically for the Steven Smith to just go for big shot, just to chase down. But I think credit goes to the captain, Kane Williamson. He has used some things, that which called basically you're using the mind. And the skipper, when he dropped a catch there in the slip, that was a very good effort. But after that, even if you see the left-hand batter like Usman Khaja, the way he got out, to be very honest, I'm amazed. That was a proper setup for Usman Khaja. Couple of deliveries playing away from the body and then bringing
one
in.
That comes back.
And yes, and reminds me Mohammad Asif, that.
But Asif, I'm sorry, but because you're mentioning this, I just want to focus on this point before it skips my mind. This is a typical mode of dismissal for Usman Khaja in the last couple of innings. We saw him struggling against various teams on this particular delivery. It's happened before as well.
Yes, let me complete, Ahmed, and I'll come to this point as well. That when we see the skipper like Kane Williamson, he's using his bowlers. Rizwan Bhai mentioned that there are other bowlers because that the Tim Saudi, he was struggling. He was bowling either the short pitch deliveries or over pitch deliveries. He was struggling with his line, and the Matt Henry was the only bowler who was targeting one area, and that was the good length area. Why Usman Khaja, as you asked that, why Usman Khaja was struggling? Because the only thing is, you have mentioned earlier on in other show as well, because his left leg, when he tried to chase the delivery, his left leg remained straight. What does it mean? That he's not putting his balance on the left leg. So I think that's the problem with Usman Khaja, and that's why he struggles when the ball coming in, swinging in, and then there was a little difference between the bat and pad as well. That was I must say, for me, that was a majestic delivery from Matt.
But I just want to add to Asif's comment. New Zealand needs credit for that. The sort of performance that they pulled in, with limited resources. Tim Saudi not bowling well. Matt Henry, Mickey Rourke, and Cleggen, I don't know how to pronounce his name, all of them bowled to a very good line and length, kept containing them, even with their main bowler not getting rhythm, not getting swing. They still managed to get 9 wickets, and that's not a small achievement against them.
But Rizwan, that's what the concept of pairing is, because at one point where Saudi wasn't leaking runs, he still had a good enough economy, and Matt Henry was trying to attack. So I think they clearly realize that that's the model that they need to follow.
It's the captaincy. They play to their strengths. They know how to use their resources to the maximum. It's about having choices. When you have 4 good, decent bowlers, even though they're not military, they're not completely fast bowlers. They're just military medium, above military medium pace. But still, if you keep bowling to a proper line and length, you keep them struggling. As you can see, Australia never went to the run rate of 3.5, 3.8 that they were making against Pakistan. So all credit to New Zealand for that.
Well,
yes.
one thing is really important, Rizwan Bhai and Ahmed. See, you guys are talking about the captaincy, the skill of Kane Williamson. You give credit that the way he was using his prior bowler like Matt Henry, and he has given him little roles, and the batters like Mitch Marsh and Labuschagne, both of them, the Mitch Marsh, he went for a pull shot. Once again, the length was good length, and that wasn't a short delivery. And
that was his strength.
That's his strength.
Mitchell Marsh's strength is that pull shot, and you got him out on his same strength. So that's where that planning and execution.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I mean, has anyone noticed that Steven Smith, one of the best batsmen that we've seen in the last 10, 15 years, decided to open the...
Wrong choice, let me
and he has not been succeeded.
Let me say, I think that was a desperate move. What Australia did was compromise one of the best test batters that they have, bringing him as an opener.
But he himself volunteered.
I think it's one because of the fact that mentality of playing quick fire test innings has now been so popular that probably Smith thought that this model is going to be successful, but that hasn't happened.
But see why Australia, they think like this, because they have plenty of trust on their players. If you see that players like Mitch Marsh and Labuschagne, as I said earlier, 140 for 4, and even then, then they lost ugly wickets. They managed to score more than 250, courtesy very good innings of Cameron Green. He scored a century, and if you see the Cameron Green's innings, the rest of the batters, like the tail-enders, Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, they were also struggling. Though the Mitchell Starc and sometimes Pat Cummins, they were very, very handy batters as well. But the Cameron Green, he played a tremendous knock. So credit goes somewhere. You should appreciate their confident approach.
But Asif, I think that position now, I think today they experimented in this test match of bringing Green at 4. And I think they're going to make it a permanent position. That's what I'm seeing. Because that first argument that Rizwan mentioned, if I had to pick anyone to open for Australia in this current 11 or 12, I would say Travis Head was their probable best.
No, I just want to make another point. Is it, have they picked Steve Smith because they haven't got any decent options for the opening slot in their first class structure?
No, I think that this is their confident approach. If you see their record and head-to-head record of New Zealand versus Australia, that Australia is far ahead. They've played around 53, 58 matches or 53, and they're more than 36 games. What does it mean? That they're more than confident? And they do know that we're playing here, and our players could manage anywhere, everywhere.
At any position you want.
At any position. I mean, this is the. So I don't buy your idea and your.
And your players won't make a phone call to the chief selector and say that I'm only going to ball 10 or 12 overs in a day.
Well,
so they don't make a phone call.
Australia is a side where that the 11 players, all of them are the match winners. Talk about Alex Carey, talk about Cameron Green, talk about Labuschagne, Travis Head. Everyone is a very good player, and then their bowlers are. But the way Matt Henry bowled, to be very honest, I'm really happy. He has just used the proper length, no pace at all, just bowling wicket to wicket and targeting.
Had he been playing in Pakistan, we would have removed him because he's military medium or less. Something that we did with Mohammad Abbas, who had consistency, which had no pace, not enough pace over there. So
well, I think that refer the question to Rizwan Bhai, but we can ask.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
No, I think pace is important. We probably see Afghanistan missing out on pace, and New Zealand has done a very good job. With medium pace, swinging deliveries and swinging bowlers, they're very, very, very good in New Zealand and England, sometimes successful in Australia, but usually, once you come to the subcontinent, then just pace is a basic requirement. So I think you need to have a balance, you need to have good quality bowlers. New Zealand need a couple of fast bowlers after Saudi.
What about Shane Bond? What about Trent
He was
Boult?
too damn good. He was too good.
Yeah, so
Trent
they require
Boult,
express
Shane
fast
Bond.
bowlers like Shane Bond and even
Kyle
like
Mills.
Kyle
was
Mills,
brilliant.
Trent. By the way, see, they're not giving
But
chance.
Matt Henry is deceptively quick.
He actually is, and I think if all three of us agree that if we look at his graph in the past 2 years, he's increased his pace. So I think 1.5 years, he's really asked if he's worked on the formula of working on his pace, because obviously the first requirement was line in length and
But
consistency.
if you see Shaheen and Hassan Ali are doing the same thing, they're decreasing in
Reverse-wise.
the same.
I'll still give credit to Hassan Ali. I think exceptional hard-working lad. Individually puts in a lot of effort and grind. Although he's a bit of a character, but I would say that
he's one of those players who goes beyond his capabilities. He's a player with very limited abilities, but he's done extremely well.
I think far better than what we can say for Shaheen Afridi, unfortunately.
I think Rizwan and Ahmed, if you see the way Australia started, the start was really smooth. Everything was perfect. The way Steve Smith and Usman Khaja was playing, everything was going perfect. 60 runs opening partnership is a very good start in Test cricket. But even then, the Kane Williamson, when he felt that the both of the players are batting well, he has changed his plan. See, I kept watching him that he was changing the field after each over, and he was coming up with the plan B, plan C, and putting pressure on the batters. That's why Mitch Marsh, he was compelled to play that shot against the line.
Escape shot, basically.
Yeah, actually, because, the way Matt Henry was bowling away from the body, just trying to bowl on the fourth stump, which was your idea always. I like, Ahmed, when you talk about the fourth stump, and he was targeting that area, and he was compelling batter to play the shot. And that's why I like Kane Williamson, then coming up with 3 slips, 1 gully, and sometimes with 4 slips as well, with this kind of pace bowlers, where the bowlers are bowling with 100 and 125, 130, 135. So I think New Zealand made a plan and they got a very good execution by the fast bowlers, and then Rachin Ravindra, he was quick in the fielding, he got a wicket as well. So overall that was a very good effort from the New Zealand.
Yes,
Asif, I think that's the beauty of Test cricket. You know, you never give up. This is what we see lacking in the subcontinent teams. Usually the other teams gets to a 60-odd start and we lose heart, and you know we give up, and you know in the very first day you get your spinners in, part-time bowlers in. But this is where Kane Williamson showed that, you know, they kept at it. They knew Australia got a good decent start, 50 odd, went to about 60, but they never gave up and kept continuously chipping at it, kept getting wickets. Nobody got major runs except other than Cameron Green, but from the other side they kept getting wickets, and 9 wickets for 279 is a very, very decent score by New Zealand.
Asif, one of the most favorite argument for me and you in the past couple of days has been the criteria of number of first class matches. 24 years of age, Cameron Green has also played 59 at an average of more than 45 runs.
Well, I think that knocked the door of Pakistan Cricket Board and showed these stats that this is what happening in the entire world.
I can only do that when I you know, probably find a selection policy that, you know, is consistent enough.
Well, the only selection policy nowadays in Pakistan is the franchise cricket, to be very honest. And once again, that's why.
But to be honest, if I can let you on an inside something that, you know, I always.
Oh, that's really important.
Figure, I think you can say goodbye to that policy and that what you call it. I think control or hierarchy or manipulation of franchises. You can say it goodbye now in the next couple of months.
Is it your inner story, or these are your feelings, or could you please elaborate?
An inner feeling. Right now an inner feeling, but probably you'll see this in the long run.
Well, that's really important. On a serious note, if you see the stats of the Australian players, even the New Zealand players, and this is what we were discussing yesterday, that the Neil Wagner he has stepped down.
Yes.
You cannot feel anything from the New Zealand side that the upcoming players, now they're giving their 100%. And the senior players are saying goodbye. Now this is the time for the youngsters. And on the same side, you were talking about the stats of their first class cricket. Nobody is lesser than 30
Absolutely.
or 40 games.
Minimum criteria.
Yes. So I think that Pakistan Cricket Board should adopt this criteria
And
for
Rizwan,
the betterment
yes,
of the cricket.
And Rizwan, the brilliant thing that we have seen over the years, and you know, I used to think, why is that? Is it probably a media jargon or something for the visuals, that whenever you know, a team was selected for Australia, when they announced it, you know, in their graphics, they always had the state name attached to that individual player. Even England does that as well, for which county side that they're playing for. And I think that sends a very strong message that they particularly focus on that longer form of cricket, and they give that credit to people and you know, that grassroots level from where they're playing longer format.
I think it's natural. I mean, even if you're a club cricketer, you know, your club sign here matters. If you're a Sunbury Village cricketer or a Kempton Cricket Club, or even, you know, Bassett Cricket Club or Jameel Cricket Club, it doesn't really matter. But you have to respect the badge that you're playing for. And it's all about cricket. I mean, if you take the money equation out, it's always been which club you play for, your grassroots, that's important. Similarly in first class cricket, of course, a Lancashire player is a Lancashire player, a Surrey player is a Surrey player. They don't just, because of the monetary issues now, people start changing and chopping and going to other counties, but that's still not a regular thing. It's, you know, you play 8, 9, 10 seasons for a county. In football, you know, you keep changing because of the money issues, because of the international things. But Pakistan here, we've never seen a Rawalpindi player, we've never seen a Islamabad player or a Multan player. It's either a PIA player or an HBL player, and you know, that just doesn't make sense. In Ranji Trophy, you know, Tendulkar is a Mumbai player, Bombay player in the beginning, and then Mumbai player. You know where Kapil Dev came from. It's just, you know, giving importance, and because we do not give importance to the first class structure, we do not ensure that our players keep regularly playing first class cricket. They will go and play, you know, Bangladesh Cricket League and the Multan Cricket League and the Jamalabad Cricket League, but they will not play for their region. And that is the reason we are a mediocre team. You know, I honestly don't mind saying it. We're a 4th level, 5th level ranking wise, a genuine team which is ranked 4th or 5th in the world.
Absolutely. I think we can move on to the K. Asif Cricket Club. probably, Shirazi Cricket Academy or Arsenal Cricket Club from now on, probably for Rizwan. But that being said, I think terrific competition. Whenever you talk about Australia and New Zealand, terrific competition. We'll see a lot in this test match. Now we shift our focus to Ireland and Afghanistan, where surprisingly in conditions where Afghanistan was supposed to do well, they bowled out at 155.
Can I start from here?
Yes, you absolutely can.
I honestly thought when I looked at the scorecard that they're playing somewhere in Ireland. Tolerance.
And the ground, yes,
tolerance oval.
Yes.
And I thought, in February they're playing in Ireland. What the hell is going on? Because the scorecard looked as if they're playing in English conditions. And suddenly I saw that they were supposed to play at Sheikh Zayed Stadium, but this is now the 122nd Stadium in Abu Dhabi, where the ground wasn't available, so they played here. But funny enough, Asif, please continue from here.
Yeah, I would like to say that this is the problem with the Afghanistan cricket side, that they were really good in T20 or the ODI somewhere, but in Test cricket, you require proper technique. If you see their batters, either the Rahmanullah Gurbaz, Ibrahim Zadran, Noor, everyone is a good hitter, good smasher. When we talk about their technique, either they're playing with the V, either they're playing the ground shots. No, they aren't capable right now. If you once again, the problem is that, of course, their young side, they're learning, they're getting some momentum, they're getting some experience, but their batters are struggling. And this is the real problem with the Afghanistan cricket, that their batters, they don't know how to make partnerships. They don't know how to go for small partnerships and then go for the big totals. As you talk about their scorecard, yes, you can imagine that this match is happening in Ireland because the batters are struggling. This is the same pitch where Pakistani batters scored plenty of runs, and the other countries, they even Ireland, if you see the Curtis, Murphy, and then the other batters, they have scored their 50s. So I think that the technique which has been missed by the Afghanistani batters, they would have to stay on the pitch, they would have to go for the small partnerships, and then they will be able to go for a big total. 250, 60 where Ireland is making, and they just made 155. It means that they need to work on their batters' skills. They have a very good coach, they have a very good coaching staff, but I think with the passage of time, they will learn more.
Absolutely, and following on, they're 92 for 2 as well. So they still trail by 16 runs. But then again, the way Irish have batted, we already talked about the fact that a lot of associate nations are coming up, especially these newly test playing nations. Ireland has been there for quite some time. But certainly it is one we can talk about, the fact that they possess the necessary talent needed across formats, the Irish
Well,
cricket.
first of all, I'd like to go to Afghanistan. Why isn't Fazlullah Farooqi playing for Afghanistan? Fazl Haq Farooqi. Why isn't Naveen ul Haq playing for Afghanistan?
Well,
the problem is that the three or four fast bowlers, Jannat Kareem and the other two, Zadran, I was looking at their Crick Info record, and they're saying right arm medium, not even fast medium. So of course, but then again, the question that we were talking about in the previous versus Australia versus New Zealand was the importance of first class cricket. I personally think Afghanistan have been handed the test cap too early. They haven't got a first class structure to back it up. They haven't got the experience. The players have no idea how to bat in test match cricket. They don't know how to build partnerships, and they will keep struggling. You have to see how long Sri Lanka waited for their test cap. You have to see how long Bangladesh waited for their first test cap, and then how long it took them to win their first test matches. But Afghanistan, it seems that in the name of commercialization, I don't mind them giving T20 opportunities and one international opportunities, but until and unless there should be a rule that your first class structure should comprise of so many teams, so many years of experience before you get the test status, and that's why we see Afghanistan.
But obviously that also is going to transcend into players eventually following league cricket, what happened to the West Indies as well. But they still managed to develop test heroes over the years, and they managed to focus on that despite their limited resources and problems with the board. But Afghanistan, of course, first innings bowled out 155. Ireland, their first innings bowled out on 263 runs, but I think credit to the batters that they occupied the crease pretty well as well. So I think that was what was needed from Afghanistan's perspective, for someone to occupy the crease well, but that probably didn't happen for them as well. But the fact is, Asif, I think it's plain simple. Any test nation right now that we can talk about, specifically only Ireland, who don't have a glamorous or glittery league over there, is producing quality test cricketers. Simple as that.
Well, that's why, and they're playing county cricket as well.
Yes.
So most of their players, they used to go to England, they used to go to other countries to just play the first class cricket. And I do remember in the past that the Pakistani players, they used to go to Ireland and play the county cricket, even in Ireland as well, the club cricket. So I think their club structure is really strong. And then once again, the point which Rizwan Bhai has taken, that the first class structure is really important. If you talk about the Paul Sterling, the skipper, Curtis Murphy, they used to play for different clubs in Ireland and England, and that's why their technique is really good. So the Afghanistan.
Right, definitely, Asif and Rizwan, thank you very much for joining us. That, of course, wraps up Sports Extra for me and the entire team. It's goodbye for now.